All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf Podcast where top agents tell how they do it. And today we are so excited to have Jeff Polashuk, who is a sales manager on a high level in Miami, overseeing over, I think, 400 agents or more, and formerly with Zillow, overseeing thousands of agents from the agent level to the broker level. So excited to bring you here today to give us incredible insight. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So all of that said, we're going to go way back for a minute. Again, guys, somebody who's like really embedded in the technology side of our industry, which is really, obviously, real estate's being heavily affected by that now. How, going back, like, was it Zillow or was it before? How did you find yourself on this path in the business of residential real estate?
So my path in general started when I was actually at college in Charleston in South Carolina and interned with a real estate company while at Charleston. So I saw firsthand kind of what the luxury real estate market looked like, and always wanted to be, involved in it. Kind of expanding from there, I graduated college in 2009, and obviously it was not a great market. So from there, what I did was I actually worked for an HR software technology company based in Los Angeles, and always had the, really the thought process that I wanted to get back into real estate. And that's where I went with Zillow, and then later, to Compass, where I am today.
So what year did you... 2009, just for the record, it was getting a lot better. It was 2008 that was really bad. So at least you got to come back in, just to give you a hard time, when things were getting a lot better. So we're talking about basically 10 years in the business. Yeah. When you came in and you started working, so you were in an internship with real estate, graduated from college, you were with a company in LA, HR department.
HR software, yes.
HR software. And then you came into Zillow, and tell us a little bit about, what was your title? You ended as the Senior Consultant of Enterprise Sales at Zillow.
Yeah. So my path at Zillow was pretty unique. Back in, I think this is 2013 at this point, 2014, Zillow started a new team, which was called the in-market sales team. So what we did, there was a team of about 4 to 6 of us that's whole job was to travel around the country to different real estate offices and meet with top real estate teams and explain to them basically what Zillow was, right? And how it would help grow their business.
Okay, and this is, so just to give us a refresher, you started this in 2013, and when did Zillow get started?
Zillow, I believe, started as a company, I want to say in 2006, okay. I think is when it first started.
And Zillow really started engaging with, just to give everybody a gauge of like where your placement was and how relevant it is to our business as real estate agents. Zillow really started to engage and partner up with agents in what year?
I believe they started partnering with agents around, don't quote me on it, but I would say around 2010, 2011. And then, from there, when they first started the platform, again, remember, all they had was this estimate, right? Their initial process when they started the company was, let's give a lot of information to the consumer, so that we can get more people to go to the site. So, one day when they really launched the site live, basically what they did was, they said, if we put a Zestimate on every single home in the country, everyone really wants to know what their home is worth. So we'll be able to get people to our website.
That's like the call to who's not going to check that out? Who's not going to want to know what Zillow has to say, or anybody has to say about the value of their house? So so basically kind of like a great business feeder / call to action for Zillow. So then in-market sales team, were you one of the first to do this for Zillow?
Yes.
Okay.
So we had a team about 5 to start.
So I asked that to lead to my question. What was that like And how did you, because this is actually we're going to talk today, everybody, a lot about lead generation, and from an angle that I am much less educated and whatever the word is, not a connoisseur in internet lead generation and cold calling. So I love this because you're going out to meet agents, to tell them about this company online that they really probably aren't excited about at the time. Yeah. And like, hey, give us money. Come on, it's all good. Like, work with us. Like, how did you do that? How did that go? And how did you engage? And, then obviously you probably developed some great relationships in the long run with that.
Sure. So I'll just quickly tell you my first story. So my first time going in market, at the time I was 25, 26 years old, and I didn't realize the connotation that a lot of realtors had about Zillow. So I'm going to an office in Connecticut, and I walk in and the broker greets me and I'm like, hey, I'm from Zillow. I'm so excited to speak with you and tell your agents more about these amazing tools we have. And he goes to me, oh, that's great. Did you bring your bulletproof vest? And
wow. Yeah.
And that was when I think I realized that, it was a very polarizing company. So I would say that in a nutshell, the agents that saw the value in Zillow early on were able to make tremendous strides in their business quickly. And the ones that were not as open-minded towards trying some new ideas and trying out some new forms of lead gen, I bet if they could get another stab at it, would have wished they would have worked with the company a little bit sooner.
So tell us a little bit about how did you go from needing a bulletproof vest to developing some relationships with these agents, and then we're gonna move this on, everybody, to how this actually what this has to do with your insight into our business, because you have so many relationships with teams and brokerages all over the country that are really big producers. But how did you exceed that? Like, how did you cross that kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same in any sales role, right? I mean, if you can genuinely show people that you care about helping them grow their business, and that you're coming from a place of helping, and analyzing what they're working on and putting together a plan of attack, people tend to reciprocate really, really well and are excited about the opportunity to work with you. If you come in with that, elitist attitude, right? Well, we're the biggest real estate portal, so you definitely want to work with us. No one really responds well to that.
Yeah.
So I would say, I mean, the way that I broke down the walls was just really listening to their pains, their frustrations, and trying to help them from a client level versus just, trying to get some business going with them.
So you were there from 2013 to 2017 or beginning of 2017. Where did, and we're going to lead now into your role as a sales manager, but how did you, well, first of all, I'm kind of like going through, I've got like 3 questions in mind. In that, because this is going to be relevant to agents listening, you probably kind of had your own learning curve as to how lead generation online was really effective.
Yeah.
I would assume you came in with a philosophy and then you discovered a reality. And that, or?
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate, right?
Because that's usually how it goes, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's really funny, right? When you start working at an online lead company, right, or a company that is generating leads from the advertiser, right, or the aggregator point of view, it feels really simple, right? You're like, oh, well, if you get 100 leads, and you convert
like 100 new clients. No.
Right. And you can convert, 3 to 5. That's
right.
Amazing.
And how long did that take? I mean, I am the biggest cynic ever. You probably called me. That's probably why I have your name and my number. I mean, anyway, but I was the worst. I would have been your worst prospect ever, which is why it's so awesome to have you on the show to educate me and all of us about this. So anyway, how do online lead generation, apparently it really does work, but how?
Yeah, so I mean, really, what makes it work is a few different things, right? The first is you need to have a personality that that is very sales driven, right? If a lot of your business in your real estate career has been built from your sphere and your connections, and you have no desire to kind of expand out of that sphere network, then online leads probably aren't for you, right?
Well, there you go. No, I'm kidding. I would actually argue, and I can actually reposition you. I could even say that might not be true because I'm someone that's like that, but there are reasons why it's still powerful. So just like more supporting it, but keep going with this how does it work anyway?
Yeah. So I mean, if you like working your sphere, if that's more your thing, you can totally learn how to work online leads, but you may not like it as much in the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. If you're used to building relationships organically, getting to know people and then making sure you're in front of them when it's time to buy or sell, that's a lot different than someone calling you, right? On a house that may or may not be your listing, saying, "Hey, Jerry, would love to see that home tomorrow at 1:00 in the afternoon. Are you available?" And you have so many questions you want to ask them, right?
Now, I'm going to say something. If you still worked for a lead generation company, I would cut you off now and be like, you got to go. But because I know you're actually a sales manager, guiding and training and directing and basically not mentoring, but what kind of mentoring? Hundreds of agents. Keep going because I want to hear how this goes. So I wouldn't believe you otherwise. So I love this.
Yeah. So I mean, if someone calls you, right, and says, "Hey, I want to see this house tomorrow at 1:00 in the afternoon," and you want to ask those questions, right? Are you pre-qualified, right? What is it that you like about that house? Do you have another agent? Right. Mm-hmm. And those are the questions that you need to dig into very, very early and very directly when you're working with these online leads to ensure that you're getting enough value up front from that client. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not able to really establish that relationship and get to know them within that minute on the phone with them, there's a high likelihood that you're never going to hear from them again. Mm-hmm. Right.
Or you're going to show them a house and spend a couple hours of your day for nothing, and the phone call you took.
1,000%, right?
Right.
So I mean, I think it's really just asking the right questions early, building the rapport with the client, and if you take that type of an approach while working online leads, you can find that you can convert at a better rate, but it's really about digging in.
I think too, for whatever it's worth, it is. And you probably agree, but on the online thing, I am more of a business development in the sense of relationship development person, and really getting known well for a certain, kind of property in a certain neighborhood and a certain kind of client. And I know exactly who my client is and what their desires are and what their pains are. So it's very easy to deliver value. But let's say I was going to use, which will lead us into more technology today and tools and where business is going in 5 years, that by having that kind of positioning and presence, not just to people directly, but online, generating leads online is one more way of expanding that presence to building a stronger base and more easily converting online leads.
Yeah.
Where it does become relevant. So you spent your time, and I'm going to get to your transition into sales management, but I've got one more question about your time in that working with people, building their business with online leads. A lot of your time was also spent in the beginning, I'm assuming agents, but as it went on, you were visiting, your clients became the brokerages.
Yes.
And you were probably talking to brokerages about, and I like to do this because it's kind of like cloud versus dirt. I love quoting Gary Vaynerchuk and cloud versus dirt because it's relevant. Is, you're in the dirt, the agent, but you're in the more the clouds perspective, the broker helping the agent. What were the strategies, or were there any interesting or fun strategies that you can help share with us, or is it all pretty straightforward on lead generation online?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that when it comes to the online leads model in general, right, it's almost, from a brokerage level, is almost becoming the relocation department of the 21st century. Right?
I love that. So basically, the relocation department of the 21st century is what online, the internet is.
Yeah, For sure, right? 15, 20 years ago, it was the companies that the brokerage had relationships, right? It was the walk-in traffic that you were going to get off the street,
Yeah.
but as everything keeps evolving, right, to more of this iBuyer type world, everyone's looking online all the time, and it's almost at a point where the brokerages need to provide, right, that e-team, right, that relocation type model, utilizing the agents that it has in-house. Because if they're not in front of those iBuyers, they're not necessarily registering with their company anymore, right, that they're going in for a move. They're going to all of the portals, right, not just Zillow,
Exactly.
Realtor.com, Google,
right.
and companies like that to really look for that house. So, I would say that in terms of advice that I would give kind of on those online leads is nowadays, it's not as predictable where your buyer is coming from anymore, right? So if you're not in front of them through the different portals, through the online presence, you're missing out on a potential huge window of opportunity, for deals.
Oh, that's awesome. So back to so basically for you, the strategy for the broker was be in front of it before everybody else is, or get your agents in front of it before everybody else is, so you can keep the business, you can funnel the business your way as opposed to the business going another direction.
That's for sure. And bringing more value to your agents, right?
Exactly.
Not every single agent can be a top Google AdWords spender, right?
But some of the brokers can, right?
But why can't they? But,
right, their budget's a little, I don't know, their budgets aren't as bigger anymore. They were. I guess I'm kind of going out there, but anyway.
Yeah, but but nor do they want to be, right?
Right.
Because Jere Metcalf's time is better spent with her clients that she spent years cultivating, and if there's a way that she can get some additional online business, right, through online buyer leads, that's just more icing of the cake for you as the agent to feel that added value that a top producer like you deserves.
But my whole thing is I always say added online value that actually benefits my client. I'll never forget. We get to everybody. We all as agents, our phone numbers are public, so we're just screening calls constantly, which is tough because we also need to be answering the phone constantly for the people who we do serve. And I had this guy call me and he said, "What if every time somebody Googled Atlanta Realtor, your name came up?" I'm like, dude, seriously? That would be the biggest disservice ever to my clients, ever. Because I am busy serving them, and if random people Googling Atlanta Realtor are pulling up my name and they're calling me, that's going to be, maybe a few thousand a day. Not a good thing. But I think I say that to say, and you tell me I'm kind of being opinionated here, but that's where we do offer value and where a lot of people do need realtors. And so many realtors are thinking, because that line only works if realtors are thinking from a place of scarcity. And we are in a business, despite the perceived competition and number of realtors and low barrier to entry and all of that, we are still in a business that is abundantly, there's a huge abundance of business for us out there. It's just deciding what you want to get it and offering the value necessary to get that business. What is it? I think was it Jim Rohn? Is that his name, Isaac? Yep. Jim Rohn, success is just looking for a good place to land.
Yeah.
Provide it. Anyway, sorry, I went on it there. I went on my rant. I'll stop now. But all of that, anything to add to that though before I ask you what my next one?
No, I think just the last thing to kind of add is, over the 4 years at Zillow, what was interesting to see was that, when it came to online leads, right, if the agents and the teams had the structures and the systems in place to nurture them and to work them correctly, it was a decently sound investment, right? Mm-hmm. Where it wasn't was when, whereas when someone was trying to show a client, right, while trying to take Zillow online lead calls, while trying to put together CMAs for clients, then it becomes this juggling act where really you're trying to do a million things and you can't do anything efficiently. So I think kind of ending on that note, the most important thing I would say about all online lead platforms is that if you're going to invest the money into doing it, definitely make it a priority and ensure that you have the systems in place to convert and nurture those leads.
And it sounds like systems includes people to take the calls, to deliver on the calls, to screen the calls, to field the calls, to get them to you. And again, we could do a whole interview on that but I haven't even. We may get back to that in a minute, because I do have a lot of questions about that. But I would say, well, you know what? Let's do this. Give me a quick breakdown of what. One of the questions I'm going to ask you is, and this is probably going into that a little bit, is what stands out in top team leaders that you've seen over the years? And some of this is probably relevant to the answer to this question, which is when someone has a great system in place to actually capture and make money or get success off of online leads, what does that look like? Like, give us a real basic, quick version of how that
so
works.
I would say on a basic, quick version, right, the first thing that you need to ensure that you can do is follow up on the lead within 5 minutes, okay? So if you're not following up on that lead within 5 minutes, chances are they're going to click on someone else.
Which means you need somebody available to engage.
Yeah, 1,000%. The second thing that I think is really, really important is you need to look yourself in the mirror and say, if I got a lead, that isn't necessarily my cup of tea, meaning, it's not the farm area that I typically work, or it's not, a price point that I typically service. How are you going to still take advantage of those leads, right? And ensure that that client is being served, the way that they should be. So that means two things. Okay. If you're not a team leader, that means that you should find an agent in your office that is willing to kind of partner on those leads with you and work out a referral fee in place so that you're not letting any lead fall through the cracks, because the cost per lead continues to go up, and every opportunity is, could be the difference between ROI and loss of money.
A huge one too.
Yeah, I would say.
And the funny thing, the ROI is much higher than the loss of money in the big picture. Like if you deliver on it, your ROI is a lot better, significantly higher than your loss is ever going to be.
Correct. And even if it's, even if it's something that you don't necessarily want to work, if you just refer it out and take a referral fee on it, chances are if that person
you just got to find that agent that has that hustle to do it.
Correct.
So number 3. So what's the third thing?
I would say the third thing is ensuring that you know what area you're working with these online leads, right? Google AdWords, Zillow leads, these buyers can really take you anywhere, right? Because they're looking at their initial property. They don't have an agent yet, so I think it's really ensuring that as you're going through this process of looking for homes with them, you really need to know the areas where you're showing them the properties, because they're going to smell it out if you show up with them at the house and they can tell that, you've never been to that neighborhood before.
Exactly.
So really time to,
you got to have value. You can pay for all the business you want, but if you're not going to bring value to the table, the business isn't going to stick, because that's
1,000%. So I would say those are the 3 initial things. I'm going to add the 4th, which is the follow-up, right? You need a CRM or a system in place to continuously put these people on email blasts, and follow up with them from time to time, because there's lots of people that come in through these systems that may be interested in buying, but they may be a year to 2 years out, right? So if you don't have a CRM or a system in place that can allow you to follow up with them, for the next couple of years, that's another easy way that, where you're missing money. right? If you don't have the follow-up systems in place.
Well, and then here it goes. I always say this, but it goes back. Here's where my mind goes. I'm always thinking about the referral, not the direct business, because if they need it, they need it. And if they don't, you can't make it. You can't force people to buy a house when they need it, or force them to use you when you're not the right agent. That's like not how it works. But if you're someone of value that offers and delivers value, and you come from a place, you keep using the word serve, which I love, because that's what we're here. We are here to serve our clients and other agents, actually, is in doing business that way, that can generate. I have generated a lot of referrals just from being professional out in the field in those kinds of situations. So, you may take the lead, but when you're not so desperate for it, but you're just there delivering a service that's valuable, it generates business and referrals.
Yeah, 1,000%. And that's with the people of just being honest up front, right? I mean, if you don't have the time to really service this lead and to help them, refer it to someone in your office. They will remember you, down the road, that you set them up with someone good. And when they have a friend that's looking more in your farm area, or when you have more time, they'll remember that you did right by them from the beginning, versus showing up kind of flustered, coming from another meeting, trying to show the house real quick, and then losing them as a client and wondering why. Right?
And all that loss is spent time. And that also comes back to systems and people, which are a little bit of the same. So now, you were with Zillow for 4 years, and then you made the decision to come to another very highly driven technology company named Compass, which we're all familiar with. Compass, as most of us know, is known for being the technology driver of real estate for the real estate agent, kind of the broker with the technology for the realtor. That being said, why Compass? Why the move? What happened? What's the story? Why did you choose Compass?
Yeah. So it was a few things. I would say that the funny one that I always lead with was I was traveling 3.5 weeks of the month, and I had a wedding coming up. And Beth Butler, our general manager in Florida at the time, said, you're going to keep traveling 3.5 weeks of the month while getting married. How's that going to work out for you? So that was so that was kind of what made me think about it a little bit more. But then I really did a list of just thinking about where I thought the business was heading. And what I found was that, the real estate agent is so critical to the transaction, and that Compass is building a platform that's very, focused on the agent. Mm-hmm. And my thought process is that over the years, what could potentially happen, right? I mean, if you look at the Redfin model and the model, is that there's going to be kind of the iBuyer that decides to go maybe online, right? And I compare that to like an E-Trade, right? If you're talking about financial platforms. And then you think about the Merrill Lynch of the world, right? Which is still one of the top financial companies, in the world, obviously partnered with Bank of America now. And people across the country are still using that Merrill Lynch type service, 12 years after E-Trade's been out, and still rely on their financial advisor more than they ever have.
Exactly.
I believe that the same thing is true in real estate, and that 10 years down the road, people are still going to rely on their real estate agent.
That's kind of revealed itself. I think that, when the internet came out, at first it was like, well, we just need realtors to know what's for sale. They just tell us what's for sale and like open the door, right? Well, since then, we've got websites and internet services that tell us everything for sale, give us stats and information on them. And then there are even ways to get in the house without a realtor, which, can be scary, but that's not the point. And then there are all these ways around the realtor, but the more ways that technology comes up with to get around the realtor, the more successful the really successful realtors become, and the faster the rest of the realtors they may come in quickly, but they go out, I think, even faster, which you start getting 95% of the people getting out of the business in the first couple of years, and then the 5% of the people selling 95% of the business of agents, when I say people, that stay in. And I think I made this analogy with you earlier, but it's so much fun. So Sarah Mixon is my girl at Tootsie's. that y'all don't know what Tootsie's is. It probably sounds like Tootsie's is a clothing department that has like more designers than Saks and the best clothes ever. And they are not inexpensive. And they are very, like, they'll deliver the clothes to your house, or you come in and the clothes are ready and it's full service and they know what you like and they know what looks. I'm pretty proud of how I like to dress and what looks good on me, but these guys have it even better. And that's who I use. But I also still go to Target and I still go to other clothing stores that aren't as expensive. But I never, and sometimes when I visit the other stores, it brings me right back to Tootsie's and Sarah, because it's a reminder of why I use them and why I need them, because it saves me time. It gets me what I need for what, and it's the same thing with real estate and homes. And that's not even a price point thing necessarily either. I think that's a, what are you buying and what is the value and what is the kind of knowledge and context of all that data out there brings a greater need for somebody to actually bring it into context, who actually knows what it is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I mean, the other thing that really sold me on Compass as a company is if you aim the top agents, okay, in the country with the top technology, okay, in a single platform. And what I mean by that is we're not franchised owned, right?
Right.
You can build this phenomenal referral network and truly have the top people in the industry able to serve their clients in every major metropolitan area right now in the country. And when I thought about how powerful that was, that was kind of the third kind of tipping point that made me think, wow, what a phenomenal place to try to grow.
So give me those again, because I think it's technologies, agents, and network. With that, or what were the? So basically, the technology, the platform that's built for agents, and it was top agents, and then it was the way that pulled together a network of agents and a network for our clients that you really can't utilize or deliver anywhere else.
Yeah, and it's those three things, right? Mixed with the fact that the company is just built in an innovative style, right? So that as more and more disruptors continue to come up, Compass is gearing itself up, to really do what's, really be able to help the agent off the bat. So whether it's the bridge loans, which they're releasing, or the Compass credit card, for our agents.
I know. Compass Concierge. And then we've got the staging services. And it's like, that's like, wow. And who did we hire from, or who did Compass hire from Square to get to, who gets to oversee all that?
Yeah. So
I don't envy him. I'm just
anyway. Yeah, no, his name's Michael Casquetta, and I actually met him last week at our LA retreat, and beyond impressed.
And you and I didn't get to meet. I mean, it was so crazy. It was too fast. It was like such a whirlwind.
Yeah.
So.
But I think that those are, a few of the things, and then I think, just pairing that type of growth up with the best people in this industry is going to continue to grow. And then kind of the last decision maker for me was really when I saw the stats, the NAR stats, right? That more people are using a realtor today than they ever were before.
The stronger the internet, the stronger the disruptors who really are coming after our business to discount and replace it, the harder they come after us, the stronger the realtor gets. Would that be a fair way?
Yeah, because I think that the best realtors are continuing to find ways to add that extra value to differentiate themselves from the competition. And then, Jerry, you said it earlier. There's so many different tools and technology and things to look at that it's almost more confusing for the consumer nowadays.
The more information we have coming at us as consumers, not as realtors, the more important it is to have someone to help us evaluate and make decisions about that information. It can be, and I find here's something interesting, kind of like off the internet topic, but on the relationship topic that I'd love to get your thought on, because it's been something that's become obvious to me is, as a real estate agent, and I find this very, very relevant of the culture at Compass. It's not about, I think a lot of times in our industry, it's like, we are realtors, we will be realtors, and we will have a job. And I'm like, no, not if we don't offer value. We don't, please, because if we do, the whole economy and what America and capitalism is based on could be washed away. If, as a realtor, I don't offer, this isn't even my point. I have another one, and I hope I don't lose train of thought, or Isaac might have to edit, but don't edit yet, Isaac. But anyway, my point is there's this whole idea that we have to be realtors, and we don't. The point is we offer value. And when all of this technology is coming in at us, it's funny how, and I could be wrong in my perception, but it's pretty clear that a lot of companies are coming after agents either to sell us products, which a lot of them I use and love. Some companies are coming after realtors in a way that they're taking advantage of the system to discount the realtor and offer discount agents and integrate technology. Redfin would be one of those. And then you've got, which is also a problem, which we'll save for another podcast, even though it also has its, but every weakness you can leverage as a realtor, a good realtor, as a strength. And then the other one is there are companies that come in and are just offering information under the assumption that the realtor could be replaced, which I think that one's kind of washed out. Compass, I find, comes in and says, like, everybody else is somehow coming after us, which makes you go, when you step back, you're like, well, obviously the realtor's controlling the business and the industry. So then Compass comes in and says, okay, how about we be aligned with the realtor? And not only that, when you're aligning with the realtor's the one, realtors are selling, the top realtors are selling, dozens of houses a year. And on the flip side of that, the consumer is only buying or selling on average one house every 7 years. So the model is so powerful as to not only having the top realtors, but the kind of technology you can build with that kind of insight and platform of that much production.
Yeah.
So I forgot where I was going with that, Isaac. Where was I going with all that?
Add value. I think you were adding value, and then you were talking
But I got so excited about like my whole speech that I completely forgot.
No. I mean, I think
what my point was.
Well, no, what your point was.
And you don't even have to edit that out. Isaac's not editing that out, guys, because Jeff has something really good to add to that. What was it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, again, it's continuing to add value, right? So it's through the different platforms, through more technology, through ways that you can collaborate with your clients, because this is one of the biggest purchases they will ever make in their life. And you need to, give them data and really, connect with them and provide additional value, because if you're not doing it, you will be 100% obsolete, right? And that's
exactly. And I think really my point, because I was trying to bring it back to a book, but we'll bring it up later. There's a book called Half the Sky that is not about business and it's not about real estate, but it's about actually charities and people who come into these problems and you're trying to fix them from the outside. And the charities that work are the ones that come from the inside, the ones that have people within their own culture who are enforcing their own beliefs, who align with the other people in that culture. Those are the ones who actually make the difference. And I bring that to Compass because Compass is a company that technology is obviously the missing link, and technology from every other aspect has come from the outside. And Compass is stepping in, but Compass is stepping in as we are realtors, and we are realtors being provided a way to improve because it's coming from within our culture, not from the outside. That really was my point. I was going to wrap that into a book you recommend, but I'm not going to yet because I want to know some questions that you gave me that I really want to hone in and get from you now that we've really got a picture of the industry and you and your perspective is what stands out to you in top leaders of residential real estate around the country, because you have met them all over the country and not just at Compass because you were in this before Compass, but you've met, everywhere. What would you say that is?
Yeah. So I would say top team leaders. What really stands out is a few things, right? They need to have a vision of the way that they want their team to be built, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, without a vision and without systems and without, really a culture in place, you can throw money at any platform. You can get a great split, anywhere. You can get dollars to invest in yourself, but without, really, developing a culture and developing a team infrastructure that operates like a real business, you're never going to be a well built out team. Right. So,
exactly.
So I think, top teams, what I've seen is there's always an extremely strong administrative person that balances the team leader. I've seen that with that proper administrative person, you can start to really grow out your team and a structure that can make you more successful.
So basically infrastructure.
Yeah.
And in infrastructure, it's vision, systems, and culture.
Yeah.
Because there are so many ways to structure a team, and I get so many questions about how to do it. And I even ask myself every day, even though my team's actually getting pretty good. And part of that, I think, has been the shift to Compass, because it's an environment that supports the business, not just the salesperson. And that's not an insult to other companies. That's just a mindset thing, because there are a lot of great companies out there. But that being said, what do you find is there even one team structure that tends to work better than the others? Or are there a few different kinds, and what works best, if there is one that works best?
Yeah. So I think, I think there's really two, right? I mean, the first thing there's a lot of variations. We've seen them all, but I think that really you need to look at, do you want your team to be based on farm areas and referral business and sphere, or do you want your team to be based around online leads, and then obviously sphere and all those other different things. Right. So if it's strictly, if you decide, working buyer leads, or working more online leads is not really the system that I want to be a part of, that's 100% fine. And a year into managing and a year into managing it now, I'm more of a believer than ever that sphere and that referral network really is a key proponent to your bread and butter, to making sure that you're achieving what you need to do. So I'd say for that type of a structure, the most important thing to get in place is that strong admin still, right? But one that is really good at nurturing the agents that are joining the team to help give them the guidance and help give them the coaching from a team leader perspective as well, because you can't be everywhere at the same time, can you? Right? So They need that.
Unless you're me, because I have this podcast. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm on the podcast, but I'm someplace else all at the same time. No, but
same.
So what would you say that was like, is it, for example, mine is, there's me, kind of the rainmaker, marketer, person in the business for 15 years. And then I've got 3 administrative people in place, believe it or not. And then I've got only 2 agents, which we now have room to grow a couple more agents below that to be available, show properties, have different specialties, different things they're good at, from new construction, historic Brookhaven, to Buckhead, to the rest of Brookhaven. So all of that being said, that's, an example of our structure. Do you find there are a certain number of, like some people are like, oh, you have to have buyer agents. You can't, if you're a buyer agent, you can't list, only the team leader lists? Or do you have any like models that you've seen work and not work that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right on track with the 3 admins, right? I mean, I think more administrative support that you can make, which gives you the ability to do what you're best at, is the most important, because you're the rainmaker.
Exactly.
Now, I think other things that you could do in addition to it is, because you have those admins, maybe you have one that is helping to coach some of the buyer agents up, and maybe eventually help you to build a website that can generate more leads and kind of oversee that. We
actually have somebody that's we call her director of operations, but that's actually, so good. We're on track. And then we've got our listing person and our closing person. So is that kind of the model, or do you have is there a model description or titles or anything that you have in mind, or is it?
No, I think the director of operations, honestly, we didn't talk about this before, but I think that the way that you have it set up with the director of operations, with the closing person, and then with the other person as well, is you're setting your team up for success,
exactly.
Right? Because they have enough support.
If you've got one admin, to me, they get spread out in way too many directions.
Yeah. Exactly. So I would say, for that type of model, it makes perfect sense. I think, having that director of operations in place early makes a huge impact so that you can scale your team appropriately, right?
Exactly.
So let's say if you want to, one day pick up and do more business in North Atlanta market, with that director of operations, you have a fighting shot of helping that agent that is working a completely different model to succeed.
Well, then we can duplicate what she's done for us in one market. Now she can duplicate that in other markets, which is kind of the idea that we have in place. So,
and then I can tell you just real quick which models I fail.
Yes, that's even better. Process of elimination, right? Yes, I love it. Tell us.
Okay.
That's but you need to start writing the questions for my show. This is seriously. Okay. What are the models that fail? Because I actually have some opinions about that too.
So where I've seen models, not do as well, right? Is when they try to grow team members, without that amazing admin in place, right? I mean, it can work for a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. But without having that admin in place early and often, you're running into the risk of really taking away what you're good at, which most team leaders are rainmakers, and you're going to spend too much time doing the management side of the business, which
is not the money making side of your business.
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest mistake that I see in general, is that people want to grow the team without the administrative person in place.
I agree. And I would say it's not that management, I just said management isn't money making. It's not that. It's that you need something to manage. And if you step away from your lead generation to come over and manage, which I actually do a lot of, but it's by getting lead generation in place, because you've got to stay engaged. But if you're stepping in to do things other people could do, then it's going to dry out because you're not on the front end making sure the business continues to come in.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's interesting you say that, because I do hear about a lot of teams that you've got a lot of salespeople in place, but where's the admin taking care of them, because nobody wants to come out of pocket to pay for it.
And I know it can be scary to go out and pay for it, but I can tell you in my experience with the top I've worked with across the country, the one consistent thing that all of them really do have is that admin in place. And I think it's, a lot of people want the admin, right? But they don't know what the admin's going to do, right?
And tell us, I know what they're going to do. So does someone that would ask that question, well, what's the admin going to do? What's your answer?
Yeah. So, I wish it was a one size fits all. Unfortunately it's not, right? I think the first thing that you really need to do is, analyze yourself with the DISC assessment, and get to know really what you're strong at. Take a good hard look at the mirror again, right? And think about what is it that you're strong at doing,
right.
And what do you need some support with? So I think it's, if you talk about Robert Refkin, his messaging, right? It's this world where everyone's playing to their strengths, right? I mean, unfortunately, we can't all do what we love every second of every day, right? Or else it wouldn't be called work. But I think we can get closer.
Oh, come on. No, you're right. Yeah. Well, I think too, there's an understanding that we can all do what we're really good at. But pretty much, even if you're Robert Refkin, maybe especially if you're Robert Refkin, you got to do stuff you hate. And it's important that you do that first. Do that first. Get that out of the way, or you'll never get it done. Because I'm really good about not wanting to do what I hate doing, because I think that's human.
And I would say on the stuff that you hate, right? I mean, list that out, right? I think before anyone gets mad.
I like that. Talk about what you hate, because it's easy to subconsciously forget it so you don't have to do it.
And then you miss the boat and forget to share it with your new admin too, right?
Well, there you go. Exactly. Well, first of all, know what it is, get it done. And when you share, which job descriptions, we are working hard on those right now, even on my team, because we kind of know what's going on, but there's so many layers of so many little things of what everybody can do. It makes it a lot more efficient. And I think that's where you tell me I think like as the agent at some point going back to like, that's not my strength, but I'm the one that was here first and knows how I want it done. And at some point I've got to articulate to team members, this is what to do, even though I'm not the best at doing that, so they can take it on and implement it and do it, and they can understand it, and then they can focus on their strengths to improve it.
Yeah, 1,000%. And in my job, I unfortunately do the same thing, right? I mean, we're hiring more managers here, and the stuff that I like doing, I tend to have a much easier time explaining,
right.
To do it. But but some of the other things I don't explain as well because I don't like doing it as much, right? But so it's really important.
And then that's where you that's like such like a little like important, like obvious, y'all, but important. Who likes it when I say y'all? Anyway, but it's so important that you like remember that, because I think a lot of frustrations on a lot of teams and for a lot of agents is to miss that component, and that's where they kind of get at that glass ceiling. They do get at that glass ceiling, and they just keep not pushing past it.
Yeah.
So what are 3 ways people should prospect every week?
Yeah. So I think that if you need to, again, think about what you're great at, but some new innovative ways that I would try prospecting that you may or may not have not done yet is a few, right? So the first is utilizing LinkedIn. Okay. I think that LinkedIn is one of the last resources left that has not been oversaturated yet by real estate agents.
Unless you're me, I do 2 posts a day. Actually, it's you, but I want to hear what you have to say. Actually, Isaac does 2 posts, Isaac's team does 2 posts a day for me. Isaac's like, we're gonna do like a little emoji for Isaac one day, because Isaac gets mentioned. We have to hashtag Isaac more times than anybody on the show.
Yeah.
But utilize LinkedIn. So let's go through them, and then let's go back through them. So number 1, utilize LinkedIn. What's number 2?
Cool. So number 1, utilizing LinkedIn. Number 2, I think that Facebook friending and Facebook messaging to contacts is a new innovative way that people aren't necessarily doing it. And then I would say the third is back to the basics, right? Going ahead and calling your past clients, right? Checking in for the holidays, asking for those referrals, and building from there. And that would be
just don't say pop by. Just don't say that. What are you kidding?
What?
I'm being funny. I'm making a nuance to pop by, ask for referrals. Brian Buffini. Anyway, yeah. I'm just being funny. So whatever, inside joke. Sorry. Isaac's been listening. For those of you, Isaac's been listening to me way too long. Okay, so back to the basics. Just the stuff we all know, the stuff we've known before technology. Do your pop-bys. Check in. Ask for referrals. Connect. So let's go back. I think it's really interesting to talk about LinkedIn, because so many people are like, I'm not on LinkedIn, whatever about LinkedIn. And then you've got people kind of mass emailing on LinkedIn, which doesn't necessarily work. But give me some examples of what you would say is the best use of LinkedIn to prospect.
Yes. Yeah. So I think the best use of LinkedIn is what's a new innovative, and we'll play this game together right now. So What's a new innovative company that just opened up an office in the Atlanta area?
Compass.
Right.
So, am I supposed to think of another one?
Yeah.
That's kind of like on the forefront of everybody's mind in residential real estate would be Compass, because we just opened up a few months ago. So should I come up with another one? Or I guess you're thinking like people moving into like Mercedes, or there's another one coming into Atlanta that I'm not supposed to know about that's, I think, going to be a big deal. Or like, let's say we didn't know it yet. Let's say Amazon. Amazon decided to make Atlanta their headquarters.
Okay, cool. So we can use that, right? Or we can use Mercedes, right? Whichever it is.
Mercedes would have been a couple of years. There are a lot more. We need to get my husband on the show, and he can tell you, because whatever.
Yeah. So the first thing that I would
guys, here's the first thing. Call a good real estate broker who relocates companies like my husband and say, hey, who's coming into Atlanta? And use that, and then get on LinkedIn, and let's pretend it is Amazon.
Okay, that's perfect. So the first thing that I would do, right, is put that call into that person that you know at that company
Right.
and say, you know, hey, I see that Mercedes or Amazon is moving into Atlanta. Want to make sure that the people that are moving down here really understand, the value that we as Compass bring. By the
Right.
way, Compass is in Seattle as well, where Amazon's headquartered. So I'm sure that they're going to have people relocating from Seattle down to Atlanta.
Right.
So I want to ensure that we can help them sell that property in Seattle and then relocate them here to Atlanta. So what I would do after I got that, dialed in is I would ask for, a list of the titles, right, that are potentially going to be relocating to the Atlanta market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So from that title search, what you can actually do on LinkedIn is you can go ahead and you actually have the ability to type in that title, right, with the company, and you can see, and it will list out all of the people that have that specific title, and you can connect with them
Right.
and send them a message, right? And I'm not saying it's going to be that spammy because we don't want spam, right? But it's just a quick note with these people when you try to connect with, hi, congratulations on the potential move, that your company is making down to Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing.
I'm here to help. Go for it.
It's a small world. And what is it? We're like 7 people apart all around the world. So when you get on LinkedIn, it's shocking how many, if you pay attention and stay engaged on LinkedIn, how connected you are to other people on LinkedIn that are relocating with Mercedes when Mercedes was relocating to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, like you've got a friend Mercedes that you can even get warm introductions to through LinkedIn. And Isaac's going to edit that out because that's my secret sauce. Isaac's not editing that out. But that's the real freaking. I mean, that stuff. Like you can find out who they are, find out how you know them, leverage LinkedIn, connect to them, and from your way, from that way, from like 5 ways, so the opportunity doesn't get missed. I love that.
100%. And guess what they see when they see your profile? They realize that you're just not another salesperson.
All your testimonials. Right? And all the business
they realize that you've lived there for X amount of years, that you're involved in philanthropies, that you guys have mutual friends, and guess what? Now they're more likely to engage with you, and work with you.
And they saw you first, because a lot of times it's just being first.
Exactly.
So Facebook, friends and messaging, are there any examples? It's kind of similar, I would think, to LinkedIn. And sometimes in some ways easier, but what are some?
100%. It's very similar, right? So I think it's taking the time to really look through that Facebook database that you're growing, right? The people that when you're out at a party, or somewhere, taking that time to connect on Facebook, but not just connect, right? Like take the extra 2 minutes to send a note via Messenger and just say, hey, great meeting you the other night. Obviously nowadays everyone's on Facebook. If you ever have any questions, about real estate or ever want to meet up for coffee and see ways that we can work together, would be totally open for it. And
I always go after referrals too, or just staying engaged with your friends and your clients. And when you're commenting on their pictures and you're staying in front of them, there are people that I don't see very often, but I just have kind of kindred spirits, and they're always commenting on me. I'm always commenting. So you just maintain this connection and staying in front of them so that when the time comes and when you know what they're up to and what they're doing and what's going on, it's easier to get referrals and get business. And so
I think so. And I'm a little more
It can be very engaging. Yeah, you're the cold caller. You're the online lead guy. I'm the SOI girl. But we're coming together on this. We're making it work.
Yeah. So
and that's like what suits your abilities. Yeah.
No, I love it. Right. So I think it's finding what works for you and making it feel natural for you. But when you're using these platforms, right, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, whatever it is, right? I mean, I do think it's important to take it one step further, because what I'm seeing nowadays is everyone's liking everyone's stuff, right? Everyone's saying congratulations. Everyone's saying thank you. But if you can, send a message, right, with, not a long book about how many houses you've sold or how long you've been in business, but, really great meeting you. Found we had a lot of stuff in common. Compass is growing in Atlanta. I know you had mentioned you have a son that's looking for a new job. Would love to connect, right, and see ways that, we could even maybe help him, and getting and just, finding another angle to engage.
And it's funny because I give you a hard time about that because my approach is a little warmer sometimes, but especially as a newer agent, I can remember like doing random requests and just kind of always having presence of mind to reach out in that way. And I can't believe in thinking back and hearing you talk about it, the number of referrals that can generate, it's surprising. So it's awesome.
For sure.
And it's like focusing on what you're good at and what your strengths are to generate business. And then is there anything you want to elaborate for us on back to basics?
I think back to basics, it's really just time blocking, right? Like finding that time every day to work through those referral calls, right? If you want to, calling people, asking how they're doing, right? If you haven't, prospect the neighborhood, right? You can use Cole Realty data. You can use different systems, make the phone calls saying we just listed, we just sold, really getting out there and being aggressive, because I think what we're seeing more and more nowadays is that much technology is out there, right? We need to find differentiators. And if everyone's hiding behind a computer, if you're the one actually making the call or shooting the text message in, getting back to basics, saying you just listed, saying you just sold, you're doing something that people aren't really doing anymore.
One of my favorites, John Zimmerman, said this on our show, is John Zimmerman is a top agent. I think he does $150 million in Fort Lauderdale, and he's a developer, and he's amazing. And he's like, all my team members, call, text, email. They called. Did you hear back? No, did you text them and email them? I emailed them. What did you call them and text them? Call, text, email. Like everything we do, I'm like, it's like my new team mantra. Guys, call, text, email. Call, text, email. Call, text, email. Yeah. Like that's how you make it happen. So I think we've been going for a long time, but I've got a couple more questions for you because you've got so many perspectives that we don't get to hear on this. Usually we have a real estate agent. Now we've got somebody from Zillow to sales manager at Compass and engaging with agents all over the world. Where do you see technology heading in residential real estate or at large in the next 5 years?
So I would say in the next 5 years, what we're going to continue to see is the development of the companies like Redfin. There's another company out there called Roofstock. I don't know if anyone has seen it, ROOFSTOCK. What that is the company where you can buy investment properties online in any state in the country. You have the platforms like OpCity, right, which was just acquired by Realtor.com.
Okay.
Which, is a system where basically it's Realtor.com leads, essentially, but they take a percentage at closing.
Wow. Okay.
And then you're seeing other platforms that are doing even more of those referral fee type things, right? Referral exchange, all those.
Again, technology companies kind of coming from the outside after getting their piece of the pie from the outside from the transaction.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see, more and more companies that are trying to play that angle, right? I think some of them may start to head away from the advertising model, right? Of you pay $500 a month and you get leads, right? And I think more are going to try to, get that referral fee on the commissions. So I think that we're going to see more kind of that hybrid, over the next 5 to 10 years. So I think that's why it's really important when you see the Compasses of the world, and these companies like that, that if they have the ability to get the leads online, right? If they have the ability to grow more of that following, it's going to continue to, hopefully keep it so that, the agents are able to get a lot of these leads through, through their systems. Because, what I think a lot of people don't realize is that the people that are clicking on realtor.com, right, are also clicking on, Compass, right, are also clicking on
Redfin. Yeah.
So it's the same iBuyer, right, is looking for the same information. So,
Exactly.
I think my hope over the next 5 years is that we see a few less to kind of, make it so that there's less data points, but overall it's still kind of up in the air.
Why Compass? But not only why Compass, but what do you see about Compass that stands out to help agents grow their business? And maybe the answer to that is one or two different things.
Yeah. So I think how is Compass going to help build their business? At the end of the day, if some of the top agents in the country are partnered with collaboration tools and marketing tools that can help make a bigger impact for their clients, there's a chance that their clients will continue to really, work with them directly and stay off of the realtor.coms of the world, right?
Exactly. Right. Well, it brings them in, and there already is a really great communication platform that it's so much easier to understand and communicate about properties that you really can't find anyplace else.
Yeah, 1,000%. And Jared, for someone like you, your clients, when they're starting their initial search, they're probably like, I really want to call Jere right now, but like she's probably so busy, right? So let's go ahead and do a little bit more research, and then when we're ready, we'll call her, right?
Right, and then all of a sudden they go down a path and they bought a house, and oops, sorry. You're like, but wait, I was here for you. Like I was ready.
Yeah, exactly. So that's number one. Hold on, edit real.
So tell us, like, why Compass? Like, what was it about Compass, and why is Compass the company that you chose?
Yeah, so I think Compass is the company because it has the tools and technology to help you better engage with your clients. And I think the fact that it's in the top 20 cities and beyond in the United States, what we find is a lot of the clients that are looking for houses, in Buckhead, right, are also looking for a ski vacation in Aspen. Right. So it gives us the ability to connect the clientele with the top agents in the market.
And I love what you're saying, because Bill Fandel and Telluride is a good friend of mine who had the same vision of connecting. That's why we're friends, agents like me, agents I know well in Aspen and all over the country, to bring the same connections together. And then here we are doing that with Compass at Compass. So I'm going to ask you my final three. Number one, what do you find is the most powerful tool for real estate agents to use online, offline, other than your cell phone?
I was going to say cell phone. So
that's because you know what's going. That's because you know what's up. So other than that,
so the top tools I would say, besides your cell phone, for real estate agents is really what's in your head, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the database that you have, the connections you made over the years, the knowledge that you've gotten in the business by doing this for such a long time, is that consultative approach, which is going to continue to, help you to build your business and expand.
And you use that with your cell phone and your CRM, whether it's Compasses or any other one you use.
Yeah, for sure.
Next book. What book do you recommend? If any book you would recommend that we read, listening to you, to impact our business?
Yeah, so I would say the best book that I'm rereading now is Ninja Selling.
I have heard a lot about it, and I haven't read it yet. Remind me the author.
Yeah, I will get the name of the author for you.
We'll get it. It'll be tagged up here. Isaac's finding it right now.
So it's Ninja Selling, because really what it focuses on is the best way to, stealthily utilize, your contacts and connections to grow your business, right? It goes over things like the Ford model, right? So, when you're speaking with people, always being sure to talk about, how's their family, how's work going, right?
Right. Engage.
Fun.
Yeah.
So Ford equals those four things, and I think it's the book focuses on a lot of those things that can help people.
It's funny you say that because we've talked a lot about this lead generation thing, and now we're going back to connecting with people. And I think it's especially important for luxury. Horst Schultz talks about the common denominator of all luxury is caring. True luxury and true customer service is caring. Because at Motel 6, there's a different level of caring. Let's just say that, because the CEO of Motel 6 hopefully won't listen to this, so we're not going to tag them.
Okay.
But I think everybody gets it. So anyway, we have fun. I say stupid things all the time, and like we all get to laugh at me and go on. But especially Isaac, he's loving it back there. So last but not least, if there's one thing that we need to remember from this very extensive, awesome, kind of eye-opening, deeper, different perspective, what would it be? What do we need to do? If there's just one thing, what do we need to remember?
I think that one thing is that it's not one size fits all, right? And there's a lot of ways to get to the results that you need to, that you want to get to as a team leader or as an agent. And it's all about figuring out what area you want to improve most in.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff.